It's a beautiful New England summer evening, and the fans are filing in the Fenway Park. Why? Because it's time for baseball. As Pix 11 presents New York Yankees baseball tonight. It's the New York Yankees against the Boston Red Sox in the first of three from Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Yankees baseball, along with David Cohn. I'm Michael Kay. A couple of weeks ago, this did not seem like it was going to be a big series, especially for the Red Sox. They looked like they were headed to a sell-off of all parts. But over the past 2 weeks, they've been red hot, and they've made it a race. The Yankees are 8-6. In those 14 games, going 8-6, they've gained 5 games in the standings. The Red Sox, 10-4, have pulled to within 5.5. And it was tough to count them out, David. And right now, 5.5 out, you can't count them out.
Yeah, the script is almost being flipped right now. It makes this a really important series right before the All-Star game, Mike, because obviously Boston, if they could sweep the Yankees here at home, boy, that changes everything leading up to the trade deadline. It seems like no team knows what to do at this point. Who's the seller? Who's the buyer? Some are in the middle. This series is a really important series, probably more so for Boston than the Yankees.
And it's going to be a great pitching matchup. Clay Buchholz against Michael Pineda for the Yankees. Let's take a look at Pineda, who really has pitched well of late, hasn't really been able to pick up wins.
Well, yes, Michael Pineda, overall, his numbers are really very impressive. And especially when he gets it going well. I mean, his strikeout-to-walk ratio is just phenomenal. Among the league leaders always, perennially over the last couple of years. But Pineda, especially when he starts getting strikeouts and missing with that changeup and that slider down in the zone, he gets a lot of swings and misses. Michael Pineda coming off a good start in his last outing.
When the Yankees and the Red Sox get together, you know you are going to see your share of stars. Some old, some new, but the stars are out tonight in Boston. When we get back, we're moving closer to baseball, and the first pitch is coming up on Pix 11. Connection to the road in the new Sonata. Visit your Hyundai dealer today. By Verizon Fios. Now there's a totally new way to customize your TV. Only from Verizon Fios. By Land Rover. Above and beyond. By Planet Fitness. Home of the judgment-free zone. By Six Flags. Save big on Six Flags Great Adventure tickets at sixflags.com. And by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Clay Buchholz has been on fire, one of the hottest pitchers in baseball. He's getting ready when we come back. Lineups, first pitch, baseball, Yankees and the Red Sox, live from Fenway, right here on Pix 11. Now they've closed to within sight of first place. It's very tight from first to fifth, but you know, the Yankees sweep this weekend, David. It's 8.5, and people are going to start saying the Red Sox are going to sell off. If the Red Sox take 2 or 3 or a sweep, then they're in pretty good shape for the second half.
Well, it really does. It sets them up for a nice all-star break, and then to sort of reorganize from an organizational standpoint in terms of prioritizing their needs and maybe pulling that trigger on a Cole Hamels type trade or a big pitcher coming in here to help them out.
And they seem buried for the longest time. And the interesting thing is that John Farrell, their manager, started to manage as if every game was the 7th game of the World Series. He benched Mike Napoli for 4 straight games, played David Ortiz at first base 2 out of the last 3. So he has managed to win that game and doesn't care about hurting feelings. So it's going to be an interesting 3-game set. We're happy that we can bring it for you. Red Sox have taken the field. Clay Buchholz is taking his warm-ups, and we'll take a look at the Yankees starting lineup, which is brought to you by Land Rover, above and beyond. Jacoby Ellsbury, former Red Sox, is in center field leading off. Batting second, playing left field, Brett Gardner. The DH is Alex Rodriguez. He'll bat third. Cleaning up, the all-star first baseman, Mark Teixeira. Brian McCann will catch. He'll bat fifth. Batting sixth, playing right field, Garrett Jones. D.D. Gregorius at shortstop, bat seventh. Number 8 hitter, another former Red Sox, Stephen Drew. He'll play second, and again, he'll bat eighth. And batting ninth in his second game as a Yankee, got 2 doubles yesterday. The third baseman, Cole Figueroa.
And that is the lineup that will face this guy, Clay Buchholz. Got a whole different look to him. Cut his hair, got the short do working. And 3.27 ERA on the year. Very solid numbers. He's always had good control. Notice just 23 walks. And let's check out the pitcher scouting report brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. Coming in hot. I mean, his last 4 games, he's pitched 7+ innings and allowed no more than 1 earned run, winning all 4 of those decisions. He's really turned his year around. A lot of it has to do with air control, just keeping the ball in the ballpark. His home run per 9 ratio is 4th best in the major leagues at 0.41. A lot of that to do with the new tweak to his changeup that he's come up with that we'll talk about later in the game. And something's got to give, Michael. I mean, his career numbers against the Yankees are just atrocious. 6.38 ERA in 16 starts. He's given up 60 earned runs against the Yankees in 84 2/3 innings, including earlier this year in April when he gave up 9 earned runs in his second start of the year. But since that point, really has been good.
That was on April 12th. He lasted just 3 1/3 innings in that game. Let's take a look at the Red Sox defense behind Buchholz. Brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Hanley Ramirez struggles at left. That's where he'll be. Mookie Betts does a good job in center, and Alejandro De Aza is a little bit of a thriller minute out and right. In the infield, Sandoval, Bogarts, Holt, and Napoli, who's back in the lineup after missing 4 straight games, just benching. That's third to first. Sandy Leon is tough to run against him. He's behind the plate. Clay Buchholz is on the mound. So you're all set up to enjoy the Yankees against the Red Sox, the final series of the first half of the season. No matter what happens this weekend, the Yankees will end up with a share at least of first place, and they have to be happy about that. And over the last 14 games, 8-6, as we mentioned, during the Open, and going 8-6 allowed them to gain 5 games in the standings. So other than the Yankees and the Red Sox, everybody else losing a lot.
And especially Tampa Bay, the Rays, in a free fall right now.
Ellsbury's ready. Buchholz is ready. And let's do it here at Fenway. First pitch swung on and fouled away, and we are underway. Ted Barrett's the home plate umpire. Chris Conroy is at first. Angel Hernandez at second. And Pat Holberg. Let's see him umpire. He's over at third. It's weird seeing Buchholz without the long hair, because there were always rumors that the hair was always wet and he was using that to doctor up the baseball. Well, you can't blame that now because it's not happening. 1-1. Lined into right center field. That ball is going to be caught by a diving Betts for the first out. He covers a lot of ground out there, and he took a base hit away from Ellsbury.
Well, the new center fielder robs the old center fielder. And Mookie Betts can cover some ground, and You have to remember with this young kid that he's an infielder by trade, a second baseman, and such a great athlete. Has just taken to center field. Probably one of the better defenders in terms of range in his young career already.
Here's the American League All-Star Brett Gardner. After the game yesterday, hanging in his locker at Yankee Stadium was an American League All-Star jersey with his name on the back, and he said, I'd never, ever have had my name on the back of a uniform. He's always been in the Yankee system, and they don't have names on the back. And he was also wondering how they make this so fast. He found out in the 5th inning. They said it means something to him. He's going to be 32 in a couple of weeks. He said, who knows how many more chances? My first All-Star game sure means a lot.
I was watching the previous series. You and Al Leiter were working, and what when you talk about Yankee farmhands going to the All-Star game, actually drafted by the Yankees. I mean, it's a short list. I was stunned by that Gardner's on that list.
And really, the stat we gave, I'm glad you brought it up to clarify, was drafted players by the Yankees. So Bernie wasn't drafted, Robinson Cano wasn't drafted, and see what he's done. He's had a power surge in the last 2 seasons, more home runs than he had in his first 6. And at bat, 31.8 at bats for each home run, cut in half what it was before. That one's popped up, shallow left, Bogarts, windmilling the arms, and he puts it away. And as for pitchers, David Robertson, Andy Pettit, Ron Guidry, the stat was about position players. So those guys were drafted, but pitchers. Here's A-Rod. A little bit of a slide. 1 hit in his last 14 at-bats. And although he wanted to go to the All-Star game, the 4 days off probably will serve him well.
I agree completely.
Breaking ball, not much bite. 1-0. Good numbers against Buchholz.
Both of these pitchers tonight are strike throwers, so you can anticipate hitters being ready early in the count on both sides.
Last 4 starts, you can't be much better than Buchholz. 4-0, 0.87. The Red Sox put together a staff of essentially number 3 and 4 starters, hoping somebody would break away from the pack, be the lead guy. It looks like it's going to be Buchholz. 2-1. High fly ball, left field. Ramirez back, turning, looking. See ya! A home run for A-Rod. Yankees on the board. They lead 1-0.
A big statement swing from Alex Rodriguez against Buchholz, who, as we noted in our scouting report, has really struggled against the Yankees. Buchholz coming in hot, first inning, right there. The pitch, middle. Hanley Ramirez barely even moves in left field. Way out in front, as that was a 79-mile-an-hour changeup.
And there's a fastball strike to Teixeira. So for A-Rod, his 17th home run of the year, 48 runs batted in. Count 0-2. So the Yankees on the board early with a run here in the top of the first inning. Just underway at Fenway Park. Yankees have taken 4 of the first 6 games between these two teams this year. Line drive and caught by Sandoval. So the shift took away a base hit from Teixeira. But the wall didn't take a base hit away from A-Rod. Yankees won. Red Sox coming back. Rodriguez, and now the Red Sox starting lineup. They'll face the Yankee righty. Brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Mookie Betts in center field. He's going to lead off. Batting second and playing second, it's Buchholz. The shortstop is Xander Bogaerts. He'll bat third. The DH, David Ortiz, cleans up. .230 batting average. Left fielder is Hanley Ramirez batting fifth. Batting sixth, playing third base, Pablo Sandoval. Mike Napoli at first base. Look at the average, 192. He'll bat seventh. Batting eighth, playing right field, Alejandro De Aza. And Sandy Leon will catch. He's going to bat ninth.
That is the Boston lineup that Big Mike's going to face. And on the year, very solid numbers across the board. Only 13 walks, although he has given up 108 hits in 99 and 2/3 innings. And let's check out the pitcher's scouting report brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. And Iron Mike, he's just like the pitching machine. I mean, just strike after strike. Only 13 walks, as we noted, and against right-handed batters, he's only walked 3 out of 225 batters he's faced from the right side this year so far. That's just remarkable. Blade runner. The blade, a lot of times that's referred to a slider. His slider is like a blade. Throws it 32.8% of the time. That's the sixth most in Major League Baseball. Hitters have not had a lot of success against that slider, although when he hangs it, 6 of his 9 home runs have come off of that pitch, so it's kind of an all-or-nothing situation. And swing and a miss, his swinging strike percentage, 6th best in Major League Baseball at 12.2%. Chris Sale's first in Major League Baseball at over 15%.
Mookie Betts will lead off. And there's a strike from Pineda. Fouled away, 0-2. Well, Michael Pineda has come a long way from when he walked off this mound with pine tar in his neck. And you wondered what was next for him. He was on the DL for a while after the suspension, but boy, he has really stepped up this year and become the top flight pitcher the Yankees hope.
Yeah, Michael, I was just thinking about that. We did that game that night, and that was probably a low point for Pineda as a Yankee. Recovering from his arm injuries, obviously, but once he got healthy, boy, that game certainly was a downer, and he's come a long way since then.
Swing and a miss. Betts down on strikes. Let's look at the Yankee defense brought to you by the Kia Sign It and Drive sales event. Yankees have Gardner in left, Ellsbury in center, and Garrett Jones in right. That's a big right field for Garrett Jones. We'll watch that. In the infield, it's Figueroa, Gregorius, Drew, and Teixeira third to first. McCann behind the plate. Pineda is on the mound. I am sure Joe Girardi is holding his breath with every fly ball right. As Jones a better hitter than he is a defender. There's a strike to Buchholz.
Yeah, the Yankees just devastated in their outfield depth with injuries.
Grounded to second, Drew. 2 away. Now, our good buddy Jack Curry covers the Yankees like a glove for us on the pre- and post-game show. He just tweeted out that he's hearing that Rob Refsnyder will be recalled from AAA and join the Yankees tomorrow.
Well, he's been on the verge of being called up for a while now. I think the Yankees have just been waiting for the right opportunity to get him up there, and obviously a lefty pitching tomorrow. Young rookie Rodriguez. And obviously with Chase Headley nursing that calf, but says he feels better. I would anticipate maybe him back in the lineup as well tomorrow.
Grounded in the hole and past the guy named Gregorius, a base hit for Xander Bogaerts. Now Bogaerts was part of that Final Five in the American League, and the winner of that was Mike Moustakas. Boy, Kansas City fans certainly know how to use the internet. And Carlos Martinez of the Cardinals won in the National League. So Missouri is real good with the internet.
There's a broad fan base in the Midwest.
And boy, they really politicked for Xander Bogaerts up here. I was driving up last night, and there were digital signs on the Mass Turnpike. Vote for Xander, vote for Xander. There's David Ortiz.
I really loved Brett Gardner's reaction to all of this. And obviously, it's a marketing game, understandable. Major League Baseball really trying to pump up the situation. But Gardner was like, I'll have none of that. And yet it was apropos that he got picked by the manager as opposed to having to rely on the vote. Follow up on your Rob Refsnyder report. He really has been hot lately in AAA too, hitting over 400 over his last 15 or so games, couple of weeks to 3 weeks. And made a lot of improvements in his defense, played exceptionally well. And strikeouts are down, his on-base percentage up. It's an interesting offensive player.
It's probably the most asked question of all of us by Yankee fans. Well, why don't they call up Refsnyder? Well, according to Jack Curry, it will be tomorrow. And when you would ask that question of Brian Cashman, he would very calmly say, we will call people up when we think they're ready. And they didn't keep him down at AAA for any punitive measure. I think they were worried about the defense. And he is transitioning to become a second baseman, so that's why it's taken longer than the people want it to take. Like standing in your mom's kitchen. Is it done? It's done when it's done. You'll know when it's done.
Are we there yet?
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see how he's going to be utilized too, whether it's going to be a platoon at second base with Stephen Drew. Obviously Refsnyder bats right-handed, or if he gets more at-bats.
So Bogaerts will go 3-2, 2 outs against Michael Pineda. On to first. Teixeira there touches the bag, and that'll do it. No runs, a hit, no errors, and one man left on base. We're going to the second in Boston. It's 1-0 Yanks. Have time to watch the whole game, David. Give us the keys to the game, brought to you by Hyundai.
Well, I just think the top of the order is an interesting matchup. The old guy versus the new guy, Ellsbury versus Betts in the leadoff hole. And we've already seen some action there as Betts robbed Ellsbury of a hit there. And those guys make their teams go. And strike throwers. Both pitchers are strike throwers. I would anticipate that the offensive strategy would be to swing early in the count. Look for that first fastball, and we've seen that kind of hold true so far. And the home run battle. Collectively, the Yankees have 83 home runs in their lineup tonight. Boston 70. We've already seen Alex Rodriguez break through with the first home run.
Now, how about this? Home runs at Fenway Park by a visiting player since divisional play began in 1969. Here's the 0-1 to McCann. This is from a great follow, Katie Sharp, who writes for River Avenue Blues. With that home run, A-Rod has 26. That's the most of anybody since 69, breaking a tie that he was with Reggie. Reggie has 25 and Joe Corder 22. This ballpark is made for Alex Rodriguez's swing. And you think about how the history of baseball and these two franchises would have been changed if the trade of Alex from Texas to the Red Sox would have been allowed to go through.
Yes, the trade was done. It was just obviously the financial part of the deal that got vetoed. And restructuring on Alex Rodriguez's massive contract that led the Players Association to balk at approving the deal. And otherwise, it was all systems go. Alex would have been the shortstop for the Red Sox.
The 2-2. It seemed like all the planets aligned for Alex to end up with the Yankees. And, you know, with the injuries, the unfortunate injuries to the two NFL players dealing with fireworks, I spoke to Aaron Boone about an off-field injury that if he doesn't play that basketball game that offseason, A-Rod never becomes a Yankee. And then if the Players Association allows Alex's contract to lose a bit of value, he doesn't become a Yankee. But he became a Yankee. Shift is on for McCann with three infielders on the right side. The 2-2. Breaking ball, strike three. McCann knew it.
See the slider grip going back door. Does it get there? McCann, no argument. Sandy Leon's a nice receiver back there. He's back there for his defense, not his offense. So he throws well, too, as Michael noted.
Here's Garrett Jones. Breaking ball, strike. And with a strike one call, they flip Sandoval over to the right side. And Bogarts is the only infielder on the left side. That one is looped into left center field. Betts on the run, dives. He can't make the play, gets behind him. A big turn by Garrett Jones, but he scrambles back to first.
I don't think there's any way there's going to be a play on this off the bat. It's a total jam shot. Betts playing way over in right center, and he thinks he can catch everything, and he probably can as he just misses this. He has no business even being this close. As Betts has remarkable range, and he kind of gets lucky there as he tips it with his right hand to keep it close and hold Jones to a single.
And David and I are enjoying a vantage point that you really don't get that much in baseball. We're really up in this booth. It's over the stands, and you can see the amount of real estate that he's covering and how tough it is to get to those baseballs. And he's made the great play on Ellsbury and almost made a really good one there. It's almost like an overhead view that we have.
Mookie Betts is just one of those athletes where he could just probably play anywhere on the field. You could just throw a different glove at him and he'd fit right in, infield or outfield. One of the best young athletes in the game all around.
Gregorius hits a fly ball to right field. De Aza makes the play. Jones back to first. Here's some boos from the crowd for Stephen Drew, the former Red Sox.
Don't really understand that. He was part of the championship team. Did a really good job for them. Boo in the uniform, maybe.
And he's also the one who turned down the arbitration tender, which I'm sure he probably thinks is a mistake now because he was never able to get back that money. And has struggled average-wise since that point. Since being the shortstop for a World Series winning team, it hasn't gone well for Stephen Drew. Drew 2 hits in his last 13 at-bats. Cole Figueroa is on deck. Jones leads off first. And with one strike, that has to annoy Sandoval. So he's playing near third base, and once you get one strike, then he has to run all the way over to the right side. Out front.
Kind of a new wrinkle with Buchholz, that changeup. He's kind of tweaked his grip a little bit and is getting a lot more fade away from lefties on it. It's been very effective for him this year. Buchholz used to primarily be kind of a four-seam fastball pitcher, and he threw his circle change off of that four-seam grip so that the spin would be just like his four-seam fastball. But now he's tweaked it to a two-seam grip, holding a changeup on the two seams and getting a lot more fade and downward tilt on that pitch. Noted that Buchholz has had some injury problems and consistency problems. But this year, he really has turned it around. A lot of people think it is because of that changeup.
Runner goes, 3-2. Tap left side. There you have it. It's a shift hit as Jones gets in ahead of the throw. Drew will take it.
Just that easy, right, Michael?
Yep.
It's watch out and get back. And Jones gets one on the helmet. But this isn't by design. He's just kind of reaching off the end of the bat, staying alive as Drew. Nice play by Bogaerts, throwing behind the runner.
Here's Figueroa. First game with the Yankees yesterday, 2 for 4, a pair of doubles, as he plays his second straight game at third in place of Chase Headley, dealing with a little bit of a calf issue, as David mentioned. They're hoping that he plays either Saturday or Sunday. Grounded to first, backhanded by Napoli. He flips to Buchholz covering, and that will do it. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 men left on base. Let's go to the bottom of the second. 1-0 Yanks. McDonald's. More bad news for the Mets. Their young pitcher from Long Island, Steven Matz, placed on the 15-day DL with a partially torn lat. Shut down completely for 3 weeks. Jabba Chamberlain was designated for assignment. They couldn't find any takers. Now just released by the Tigers. Anybody who wants him can pick him up. And the Nationals have had an injury-plagued year as well. Denard Span placed on the 15-day DL with back spasms. Terrible news about Matz.
Yes, I mean, a big blow. So much excitement. Local kid, Long Island. Boy, done good. Got really good stuff, too.
Here's Hanley Ramirez. 1-0.
I don't know how they could say 3 weeks with Matz. A torn lat. Big difference. Just that word torn. Anywhere in your body, a tear is not good. So I can't imagine him being back very soon at all.
Chopped over the head of Pineda. Drew's there, and he gets Hanley Ramirez for the first out. Tonight's high-speed pitch comes from Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better, and that pitch to Hanley Ramirez was clocked at 95 miles an hour.
And we've seen Michael Pineda average about 92 on the year overall, but over his last 3 or 4 starts, his velocity has really been up. More like 94, 95 regularly.
Pablo Sandoval takes outside, 1-0. Some controversy surrounding Sandoval. Signed a big money free agent contract coming over from the Giants, and at a game here at Fenway Park when the Red Sox were struggling, he went to the bathroom with his phone and was looking at pictures of young ladies and hitting favorite on a couple of them. And it was easy to find out. People picked it up, and he admitted that he did it. He said it was a mistake. Red Sox were not happy, sat him down for a couple of days, and he's been playing well of late. Grounded to second. Drew is there. David, I just thank goodness that social media did not exist when you were a player.
Yes, I got out just in time, that's for sure. That's a new one, though. During the game, a favorite. Facebook time. He needs a little 15-minute Facebook break during the game.
That brings new definition to the word bad judgment, or the phrase bad judgment. Just, you got to know better than that. So 2 down, and here's Napoli sitting on the bench for the last 4 games. He has really struggled. 2 hits in his last 28 at-bats. He's coming in on the interstate at 192. He has been such a big part of their offense.
And really the key problem right now in this Red Sox lineup, because they've got about 3 different DHs. Hanley Ramirez playing left field probably should be the DH. So they've got a couple of weeks to figure it out before the trade deadline. And Napoli's still got some value. If he can get the power going here in the next few games, anything can happen. He could be moved or traded. Another, right-handed power bats are such a commodity in today's game. Also still lines up at Fenway Park well if he gets his power stroke going.
And I got Napoli. You can hear it way up here. Red Sox quickly out of the dugout. He waves off the trainer and the manager. He'll take first with 2 outs.
Trying to front door that cut fastball, and you see Napoli brings his hands right into the zone and just can't get out of the way. I was going to say it might have left a mark on his arm, but he's got a lot of marks there. So got some ink. Be hard to tell.
Here is Alejandro De Aza. He has brought a little bit of a spark to what was a dormant Red Sox offense, but really a bit of a liability in the field. Kind of hold their breath wherever they put him. A little bit of a slump of late. One hit in his last 11. And the count 0-2.
The Red Sox have a log jam in their outfield. Obviously, as we mentioned before, Napoli's kind of the key. Whether he's going to be a part of this or not, can they keep running Hanley Ramirez out into left? Jackie Bradley Jr. kind of caught in the mix too, down the line and in the depth chart.
Shane Victorino.
Victorino's back. Red Sox expect that Dustin Pedroia will be back after the All-Star break now. And you got Brock Holt in the mix, who they have to find a spot for all over the field.
He's the only player in the American League that has started at all 7 positions other than pitcher and catcher.
We have about $80 million in contract in a contract sitting in AAA with Rusney Castillo, the Cuban signee a couple of years ago, or last year actually. So they are loaded in the outfield.
And the Cuban player Yoan Moncada that they signed beat out the Yankees in a bidding war. Really has had a terrible first half as De Aza swings and misses, but has picked it up over the last couple of weeks. So a lot of decisions for the Red Sox as we go to the 3rd inning. It's 1-0 Yanks. Everywhere July 24th. 2 more games against the Red Sox tomorrow night, Sunday afternoon. All-Star game on Tuesday. 3 games against Seattle, 4 against Baltimore. Then the Yankees go to Minnesota. And when they open the series against Minnesota, Southpaw also opens. And that's the next couple of weeks for the Yankees. Back to the top of the order, and Jacoby Ellsbury swings and misses as we start the 3rd. Ellsbury robbed of a hit. Diving play by Betts in the 1st inning. Grounded sharply to short. Backhanded by Bogarts. And the stretch by Napoli. Kept his foot on the bag. 1 away.
It's one thing Napoli does well is play first base. Not noted for his range, but a former catcher. Very good glove over there. Good work around the bag. The interesting part to me, Michael, is that if Napoli doesn't play, Hanley Ramirez can't play first base. Big Papi was forced to play first base, and I don't think that's a long-term answer right now.
Did you hear his comments about that, though?
Yes, surprising.
They played him 2 out of 3 games at first base, and he's contracted to play for the Red Sox, not just DH. And he said, I'm really not interested in playing first base. Really?
He's worried about getting hurt,
right.
Yes, in his future. Probably a thought better left unsaid.
The 0-2. Strike 3. Gardner down looking, and he knew it.
No argument from Gardner, as you see right there. A lot of plate and plenty high enough. Got caught looking off speed. One before, now that one's inside probably. So Ted Barrett behind home plate, definitely a strike calling umpire, more pitcher friendly.
A-Rod swings and misses. Alex hit one over the monster. A high long drive in the first inning. That's the scoring in this game. His 17th home run of the year and his 48th run batted in. Only infielder on the right side is Napoli. Count 1-2.
Kind of the pattern for Buchholz. Cutters away to righties and change-ups away to left-handed batters.
Way outside, 2-2.
Look down on the breakdown of Buchholz's pitches this year. He's throwing less four-seam fastballs, more change-ups, and more cutters.
The 2-2. Line to right field. Coming on, Diaza dives. He can't make the play. It gets behind him. And Alex gets a single with 2 outs. He slowed it down so it didn't roll that far behind him. A lot of real estate there, so Alex stays at first.
Undoubtedly, Alex in protect mode has done so well at that this year, going the other way. And Diaza, a real risk there with 2 outs. Lucky that ball didn't scoop by and allow Rodriguez to get into scoring position.
Now here's Mark Teixeira. It's time for tonight's Power Report, furnished by Bob's. Everything's better with a Bob Opedic. Find out why at mybobs.com. Albert Pujols, 26 home runs. Trout, 24. Martinez, 24. Teixeira with 22. One and one.
Quite a resurgence for Pujols. Now back on top and is actually going to participate, I believe, in the home run derby contest at the All-Star game. The Angels are right on track of Houston Astros in the American League West, so things seem to be settled down in Anaheim after Jerry Dipoto, the general manager, resigned.
Drilled down the right field line. Foul.
guess if you've got a conflict, Michael, if your general manager and your field manager are at odds, something's got to go. Somebody's got to go. And the minute Jerry DiPoto kind of fell on his sword, so to speak, he's out of the picture. The Angels seem to have settled down, really playing good baseball.
That one is drilled into right center field. On the run is De Aza, and he makes the play, taking an extra base hit away from Teixeira. No runs a hit and one man left. Yankees lead 1-0. New York Yankees baseball brought to you by Southpaw, starring Jake Gyllenhaal in theaters everywhere July 24th. Now, here's a sneak peek.
This tour of Fenway Park brought to you by Optimum Wi-Fi. Now, what better place to have a tour at Fenway than on top of the Green Monster? This wall, 37 feet high, 231 feet long. Standing here like I am right now, that wasn't a possibility prior to 2003, but now you have 270 seats here, room for 100 people standing. And guys, the first ever homer hit over the Green Monster, Babe Ruth, back in 1934, except for then, the Green Monster was not green. That didn't happen until 1947. And I got to say, Michael, you have never looked better than from this distance, my friend.
Little shot, right? Very nice. Why don't you stay out there?
You know what? It's pretty good. People are kind, kinder than I thought they might be. And it's a cool view out here. I have to say, I like it a lot. It's jam-packed, too.
And do they realize that you're affiliated with the Yankee broadcast?
You know what? Maybe having the Picks Mike flag saved us a little bit. Perhaps I would have been treated differently without this, but I've been treated pretty nicely so far. Maybe it's also Blake Shear, our producer, who's so good with the people.
Well, good job. Get back safely. As Sandy Leon wraps a single up the middle to start off the third inning.
Sandy Leon, the guy that was brought in to catch Buchholz, ironically, is the one who leads off here with a smash up the middle.
Mookie Betts pops it up. And Drew makes the play.
It's one of the things Mookie Betts has done recently in his hot streak is swing early in the count. Very aggressive first pitch swinging there.
Here's Buchholz. And a strike.
And you kind of get the feeling, obviously, from Buchholz's standpoint, he's now an all-star. But it's kind of a reward for the way he plays the game. You know, obviously, over the last year, the Red Sox have been trying to get him more at-bats. Obviously, with Pedroia hurt, he's been able to play every day this year.
There's a base hit up the middle for Holt.
Just a lot of fans of Buchholz's style of play. All-around ball player.
It's amazing how an organization gets a hold of somebody like Holt. He came over from the Pirates in the deal that sent Melanson to Pittsburgh and also Stolmy Pimentel. And that was to get Joel Hammerhand. But the Red Sox wanted this guy. They had a scout scouting the Pittsburgh system. And the scout reported back to the Red Sox and said, this guy can really play. He said, and he can play anywhere. He's just got life in his body. You know, try to get him in a trade. And they kept that in mind, and they asked for him, and that's why they put Pimentel into the deal, because the Pirates said, well, if we give you Holt, we want Stolmy. And it's worked out for the Red Sox. That's the best part of the deal, because Hammerhand was a bust here, and Boston got hurt. So those scouts that beat the bushes sometimes really come up with gems. Here is that trade. Melanson has been great for the Pirates. And Holt is now an all-star for the Red Sox. Melanson used to be in the Yankee system, and scouts felt that he would never have done with the Red Sox what he's done with the Pirates. And, you know, this is such a broad brushstroke, but they say he's not an American League East sort of pitcher.
He was never going to have, you know, the patience. You know, the team or the organizations were never going to give him a chance to grow and develop like he did in the National League and with Pittsburgh.
Let's see if the Yankees can turn two here. There's one, and there's two. 6-4-3 double play started by Didi Gregorius. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, and one man left on base. We're going to go to the 4th inning here at Fenway. So the Yankees won, the Red Sox nothing on Pix 11. Enjoy more shows on more screens. Time Warner Cable, enjoy better. And by Ram, find your summer fun with great deals at the Ram Summer Clearance Event. Beautiful night here at Fenway Park. Great city. And the Yankees lead the Red Sox 1-0 as we go to the top of the fourth inning. McCann leads off. Takes a ball.
A nifty little double play we saw in the last inning by Didi Gregorius.
He's a different player from the beginning of the year.
Really looks comfortable now, without a doubt.
Lined and a base hit to right center. So Brian McCann leads off with a single. Let's take a look at that 6-4-3 double play.
Well, it happened so quickly. Just right from the glove. Quick toss, Drew with a nice turn. Spaghetti and meatballs. Very nice. Picking up Pineda.
Here's Garrett Jones, single in the second. Quickly 0-2. Strike three. Garrett Jones now looking. Well, slug your way to the Home Run Derby crown and master the free award-winning game millions are playing. Action-packed, insanely fun, and you get to play in Great American Ballpark, home of the 2015 All-Star Game. Download MLB.com Home Run Derby free on the App Store and Google Play. Here is Gregorius. Fly ball right field in the second. Way out in front.
And 40 strikes out of those 55 pitches for Buchholz so far tonight. Big swing on the first pitch, changeup, and a cutter inside. A wake-up call as Gregorius just gets his elbow out of the way.
Lined into left center field. That is going to split the outfielders and go to the monster. McCann chugging around third. He will be held there. It's a double for Didi.
It's like a two-seam fastball that does not get away, and Gregorius, to his credit, stays with it. into the gap. We've seen Gregorius try to pull that ball a lot, end up hitting fly balls. So that's just another example of Gregorius, really, his overall approach at home plate much better.
Infield in on the left side, halfway on the right side for Drew. And Drew rips one down the right field line. And it's foul.
Probably the toughest read here in Fenway is the pesky pole, as it really does jut in quite a bit because of the configuration down there in the right field corner. Really hard to tell. Balls that you think are definitely foul wrap around that pesky pole and end up home runs. As Boston once again shifts up their defensive alignment here. Pitcher and catcher want to talk about it.
This chiropractic telecast presented by authority of the New York Yankees. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees. Now something's up because the umpire is running out to the mound, and here comes Farrell. The whole infield converging, and the trainer right behind. So what is going on with Buchholz?
It's usually the catcher that notices something first, and that is the case here, as Sandy Leon went out and confronted Buchholz. Saw something he didn't like, immediately called out the manager and the trainer, and it looks like his night's going to be done.
He's been so great for the Red Sox. 4-0, 0.87 in his last 4 starts. He's emerged as the ace for this team. And now he leaves the game. We'll find out what's going on. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Chase, so you can easily master the way you bank. Sign it and drive it sales event. Visit TriStateKiaDealers.com to learn more. By Optimum Wi-Fi. By your Tri-State BMW Centers. By McDonald's, get a double cheeseburger and small fries for only $2.50. Price and participation may vary. By Bob's Discount Furniture, everything's better with a Bob O'Pedic. Find out why at mybobs.com. And by your Tri-Honda dealer, hurry to your local Tri-Honda dealer for great deals on the 2015 models. Well, Robbie Ross Jr. is going to have as much time as he needs to warm up because Clay Buchholz has left the game with an injury. He walked off with the trainer, Rick Jameson. Did you see anything, David?
No, it was really hard to tell. I mean, a couple of his last pitches, and including a couple of the hits he gave up, seemed to lack velocity. Including the one to Gregorius, kind of 88 miles an hour that kind of sat there. We'll see the last pitch right here. That's got nothing on it. You can see Sandy Leon, the catcher, seems to see something there. And really hard to tell.
Well, the catcher was eyeballing him and could tell just body language-wise.
Buchholz kind of called him out there, too. A little gesture with his glove. You can tell he really quit on that last pitch, and his velocity did go down over the last several pitches, including the one Gregorius hit in the gap.
All right, so Robbie Ross Jr. takes a 1-1 count against Drew. First base is open, second and third. One man out. Grounded off the glove of Napoli. He flips to first, and Drew is in there. Run scores. No, holding at third was McCann. I don't understand how McCann didn't score on that. So I apologize. The base is loaded for the Yankees with one out.
Well, first of all, it's hit hard. As Napoli playing in, tries to backhand it. And off the ricochet, Robbie Ross just does not get there. And we'll get McCann's look right here off the ricochet. He just sits.
Not even in the picture.
Plays it safe at third. Obviously a catcher, not much wheels there at third base, but not much of a secondary lead as well. McCann inching back. He's inching the wrong way. If anything, he should be getting a secondary lead and watch what Napoli does, but McCann plays it safe. And as we said, a catcher, shall we say, his legs are challenged in terms of running.
That scored an E1 as Ross couldn't find the bag. So it's still 1-0 and the bases are loaded.
One of the reasons Cole Figueroa was called up is because he can play third base. And he bats left-handed as opposed to Jose Perella, who's a right-handed hitter. So timing is everything in life, and Figueroa benefiting from that. Chase Headley needs a couple of days to nurse an injury. Cole Figueroa was hitting well in AAA. You just never know when that call is going to come, especially in today's game. We've seen the Yankees turn over the roster right and left, particularly in the bullpen, but also in the middle infield position, as Rob Refsnyder will be here tomorrow, probably in the lineup against the left-handed pitcher.
1-2. 2-2.
Corresponding roster move would either be for this guy batting or possibly Petit.
This got a piece.
But Michael, the benefits of one day in the big leagues are immense from an insurance standpoint, accruing big league time. It means a lot other than just a day's pay in the big leagues.
2-2. Count full on Figueroa. Bases loaded. One out. Yankees lead 1-0. We're at the top of the fourth. As Figueroa stays alive.
Good job by Figueroa here. Kind of see Robbie Ross Jr.'s style of pitching. Bases loaded, still off-speed slider. Figueroa spoils it. He's worked the count to 3-2.
And the pitch. Looped towards second, and the catch is made by Holt. And getting back was Gregorius. 2 away.
Well, good job by Gregorius reading and getting right back, because he would have been doubled off right there. And good athleticism from Holt.
All right, here is Jacoby Ellsbury, 0 for 2. Really the perfect time to bring in the lefty with the 4 lefties in a row. Ross essentially got Drew, but couldn't make the play at first. Got Figueroa to pop to second now. 1 out away from getting out of this jam. Count 0-2 on Ellsbury.
Yes, it has worked out very well in terms of matchups. Robbie Ross Jr. A couple of years in the big leagues. He's acquired from Texas for Anthony Ronaldo. From Lexington, Kentucky. Although with that name and that look, it looks like he could have grown up in the south of Boston.
Two. McCann leads off third. Gregorius off second. Drew off first. There's a ground ball to Holt. And he boots it. Throw to first. Not in time. And this time McCann does score. And it's 2-0 Yankees. So the Boston defense going south this inning in E1, now in E4.
Yes, McCann, no choice but to go here, and that's just an unforced error as Holt hangs back. Gets a little bigger hop than he thought, but nothing out of the ordinary. Just a good old-fashioned boot. And with Ellsbury running, no chance for a recovery.
Bases remain loaded, and here is Gardner.
This is where you can really make it hurt. You talk about early turning points in the game. Buchholz injured, out. Third out would have been made. Now Gardner can make him pay.
One and 0.
It's one of those times, Michael, where, you know, unearned runs. No two are the same. Pitcher's duty here is to pick up Holt. Make a pitch and get out of this. On the Yankee side, boy, you make this one hurt. Take advantage of the mistake. Excuse me, Michael.
Now you might wonder, if he joined us late, well, where's Dustin Pedroia? He was due to come off the DL today. They decided to keep him on. He could return at some point, all likelihood after this series. He's been on the DL with a strained right hamstring, and the team has flourished 9-4 with Pedroia on the DL. That's why Holt's at 7.
All of a sudden, a 3-0 count after the error.
Gregorius at third, Drew at second, and Ellsbury at first. Ross sets and deals. Grounded and grabbed there by Napoli. Flips to Ross, safe. Gregorius scores. It's 3. Nothing Yankees as Gardner beat it out for an infield single.
Indeed, he did with the head-first slide again as Ross breaks it down just a little too quick. Gets the ball, and he's doing his footwork to try to find the bag. Not with Gardner running. Easily safe here. As you see, Ross just kind of break it down a little too soon to try to find the bag.
And David, that might have been a product of him not finding the bag for Drew, so he wanted to make sure he got there.
Yes, I mean, Ross is there, and then all of a sudden he slows down. You got to keep your momentum going and trust that the bag will be there when you get the ball in the return from the first baseman. See another unforced error in this inning as Napoli does the job, but Ross just beat in the race by the speedy Brett Gardner.
41st ribby for Gardner. Also extends his modest hitting streak to 4 straight. 1-0 count on A-Rod. 2-0. Alex, a home run in the first and a single right in the third. Two and one.
This is closer to the type of baseball that Boston played earlier this year when they really struggled, as opposed to recently. Collectively have not played good defense this year at all.
3-1 on Alex. No place to put him. Yankees have an opportunity to break this open. 3-0, bases loaded, top of the fourth. Foul back.
Hanging changeup for Buchholz. Alex loses it. Just missed another one on the previous pitch as well. Now 3-2.
Runners will go with 2 outs. Walked him, and that'll force in a run. It's 4-0 Yankees. Second ribby for A-Rod. His 49th on the year, and that's going to do it for Ross. Well, maybe not. Nobody is warming. And just a trip to the mound.
You know, Michael, we talked about unearned runs. They don't count against a pitcher's ERA. But in this case, there should be some penalty for the pitcher here after the error. Not getting over to first base to cover, now walking in a run. None of these runs are earned. It's one of the reasons why I like game score as an alternative. Unearned runs are still penalized at a 50% discount on game score. But Robbie Ross here not doing a good job at all at picking up his infielder after an error. Buchholz.
Well, Carl Willis goes out to settle down Ross. And Teixeira pops one up, shallow left. Bogarts backpedaling, makes the play. But a very sloppy inning for the Red Sox. Yankees score 3, 2 errors, and they leave the bases loaded. And the gang from 5 to 9 on the Pix 11 Morning News, where every story hits home. All 3 runs in the top of the 4th inning because of the 2 errors have been scored as unearned. So Michael Pineda has a 4-0 lead to deal with as we go to the bottom of the 4th, and David Ortiz will lead off.
And no 2 unearned runs are the same. It's one of the first stats a lot of old-time pitching coaches look at. Especially with regard to starting pitching. At the end of the year, you look at earned runs and unearned runs given up by a starting pitcher, and if there's a wide margin, 15, 20, 25 unearned runs, that means there's something wrong with the pitcher, generally. Pitcher falls apart after an error is made behind him. Doesn't show up in your earned run average, but shows up in the 1 loss column.
0-2. Now lost in the sloppiness is Clay Buchholz walked off with an apparent injury, and that's a big blow for the Red Sox, depending on how severe it is. We're waiting for some word. And he's been pitching like their ace. Swing and a miss. Ortiz down on strikes.
Pretty easy to tell when Pineda's on. As you see, when he's down and out of the zone like that, right over the heart of the plate, you're going to get those kind of swings.
Now, David, the official scorer here in Boston, Bob Ellis tonight, has decided to change the error on the Drew ground ball, take it away from Ross and give it to Napoli. I didn't see much wrong with Napoli's throw.
No, definitely not.
And Hanley Ramirez takes a strike. So take the E1 away and now give it to Napoli at E3.
Curious. The mistake was done by the pitcher, who just broke it down and slowed down once he got to the bag. Multitasking, find the ball in the bag at the same time, and Ross just slowed down too much with Gardner running.
Fouled away.
We keep getting back to Hanley Ramirez here. Really, offensively, has done pretty well. 18 home runs. It's been a little bit streaky, but much better as of late. Red Sox took a chance, thought they could put him in left field, hide him in front of the Green Monster. He hasn't graded out very well defensively in left field. In fact, by a lot of the metrics, the worst left fielder in the game.
Strike 3. Ramirez down looking. So Pineda dealing free and easy here with a 4-run lead.
Just curious to me, Michael, why he doesn't have a first baseman's mitt. Hanley Ramirez, a former infielder. And Michael Pineda, front door cutter. Unhittable. Ramirez, head down back to the dugout.
Here's Sandoval. And that one is lined into left field. A base hit in front of Gardner. So 1 on, and here is Napoli. Hit by a pitch in the 2nd inning. teams are so desperate for offense that sometimes they kind of force mismatched parts. Hanley Ramirez not a left fielder. They've got a couple of DHs, and the Yankees really have the same problem with Alex and Beltran and Garrett Jones. So you try to put them in places where they're not going to hurt you that much.
Just been curious, as you said, Michael, some of the comments, though. Hanley Ramirez sort of quoted as saying he has no interest in first base. Apparently neither does Big Papi.
Line to base hit to left field for Napoli. Well, I dug up Big Papi's quote after he played first base on Wednesday, and he just told the media, "I'm too old for this." And it was the first time he played first base in a home game in 9 years. He's the DH. That's what he feels his job is.
Yeah, out of the choice, it's just curious to me. Why wouldn't Hanley Ramirez just play first base? If Napoli needs some time off and you need a first baseman. Very interesting that the younger Hanley Ramirez, who has infield experience on the left side of the infield, would not have a first baseman's mitt.
First and second. 2 men out, and here's Alejandro De Aza. Added to the Red Sox roster on June 4th. He's added energy and life to this team, as McCann wants to settle down Pineda. In his last 17 starts since June 16th, Red Sox are 12-5. And a rare division trade, as the Orioles traded him to the Red Sox for a right-handed pitcher, Joe Gunkel. That was on June 3rd.
And that was after being put on waivers and after DFA trade.
First and second. A couple of hits with 2 outs. Yankees lead 4-0, bottom of the 4th.
It's a good visit there by Brian McCann to Michael Pineda. You don't want to let, after last inning, the Red Sox to get back in this. You know, you talk about shutdown innings. Maybe an overused cliche here and there, but nonetheless, very important here with 2 outs for Pineda to shut him down right here. Keep the momentum in the Yankees' favor.
And De Aza strikes out. All 3 outs via the strikeout from Michael Pineda. No runs, 2 hits, and 2 men left. We're going to the 5th in Boston. 4-0 Yankees. take on the Mariners. The first 18,000 guests, 14 and younger, receive a 2000 World Series Champions replica fan ring, courtesy of Betteridge Jewelers. For tickets, log on to Yankees.com, visit the Yankee Stadium ticket window, Yankees clubhouse shops, or call Ticketmaster at 877-469-9849. Garrett Jones leads off. Check that. Brian McCann leads off and takes a strike. Foul back. The word on Buchholz is right elbow tightness. Swing and a miss. McCann down on strikes against Ross.
You could just hear that collective groan from the Fenway faithful when Buchholz walked off the mound. And that's the look of a manager who's got some worry too about your best starter. Anytime you hear elbow, Michael, you know what everybody thinks.
Here's Jones. That's foul back. As good as Buchholz has been, he's never made 30 starts in a season, so he's not exactly been a sturdy starter. But you hope he's okay. Oh, 2. One and 2 on Jones. Jones with a single to center and a strikeout looking. One man out, top of the 5th inning. Yankees 4 runs on 7 hits. The Red Sox no runs, 5 hits, and 2 errors. Grounded to Holt. Gets a nice hop. 2 down. Hey, tomorrow night, tune to Yes after the nationally televised game on Fox for Yankees Extra Innings post-game coverage. Then Sunday afternoon, Yankees and the Red Sox hit the field for the series finale with coverage starting at 12:30 right here on Yes. Here's Didi Gregorius. 1 for 2. Doubled his last time up to left center field. Came around to score. Strike. A little surprised, Michael, on that last at bat. I mean, Garrett Jones has been getting good at bats lately, actually. We'll see here. This is the reason for the visit. A cross up. Anytime you see a catcher catch a fastball down the middle like that, he was looking for a curveball. Lucky to get leather on it. How you get crossed up with nobody on base, I don't know. Just to finish that point about Garrett Jones, you've got Chris Young. You've got a 4-0 lead. So clearly the better defender is Young. With a lefty on the mound, maybe Girardi thought it was early in the game. And that rockets into the stands, and some fans in the area calling for help. Now the players looking there as well. The 0-2. Off the glove of Ross. Bogarts gets Gregorius for the final out. Yankees go down in order 1-2-3. We're halfway through after 4.5. It's 4-0 Bombers. New way to customize your TV, only from Verizon Fios. A-Rod with a home run in the first, and then the Red Sox defense falls apart in the fourth. First Napoli, then Holt. Diving single by Brett Gardner. Yankees get 3 runs that inning. Brett Gardner picks up an RBI single. Clay Buchholz leaves the game with elbow tightness, and now we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Michael Pineda has not allowed a run through the first 4. And Sandy Leon leads off.
Pineda, very good fastball, 94 to 95. All of his off-speed stuff, namely that nasty slider, have been down at the knees or lower, and that's the good Pineda. When he gets that combination going, he looks like one of the best pitchers in the game.
Wrapped to center field. Ellsbury back, still back, and he makes the play on the run for the first out. He certainly knows that piece of real estate with those years with the Red Sox, and calmly ran it down a deep drive.
Indeed, gliding back. As Ellsbury, since coming back from the DL, really has shown no signs of any discomfort, not being at full strength. Such an unusual injury to Ellsbury, who was hurt in the batter's box. His spikes got caught. A lot of mystery surrounding how long his rehab will take.
That one is drilled to left field. Turning and looking. Gardner. See ya. Home run. Over the green monster for Mookie Betts. Sox are on the board. It's 4-1 Yanks.
With lightning quick hands from Mookie Betts. And a hanging slider from Pineda. It's the 10th home run given up by Pineda this year. Seven of them on hanging sliders like that. First one he's thrown today.
And Buchholz takes a strike. For those that were concerned about the Gregorius line drive that hit a fan in the seats on the third base side, that fan left under her own power. It looked like the ball hit her in the head, but she walked off to the cheers of fans and held an ice pack over her head and was accompanied by medical personnel.
You know, Michael, it's not as easy just to say, hey, watch the game. And that was just a bullet of a line drive at an angle here at Fenway Park that I don't think anybody could react to.
Grounded to Drew. And he gets Holt for the second out.
Obviously begs the question for more screening down around home plate all the way down. A lot of debate about that, especially here at Fenway.
Here is Xander Bogaerts, and you talk to people around the Red Sox, he has really flourished in the 3 spot in the lineup with Pedroia on the DL. Tonight he's 1 for 2. Grounded foul. Swing and a miss. 0-2. Bogaerts singled to left in the first and wrapped into a 6-4-3 double play in the third. Last 6 games coming into tonight, Bogaerts was hitting .462 with 8 ribbies in 6 games. See, he wears number 2, and that's because Derek Jeter wore number 2. Swing and a miss. Bogaerts down on strikes. But the Red Sox finally get on the board. A hanging slider by Pineda is hit over the wall by Mookie Betts. We go to the 6th. 4-1 Yanks lead. remaster the way you bank. Speeding by in Quincy Market here at Fenway. We go to the 6th inning. 4-1 Yankees over the Sox. And Stephen Drew will lead off. Drew an infield single on a slow roller to the left side with the shift on in the second. Then he reached on an error by Napoli in the 4th. Now that play was originally scored in E1 and then changed to an E3. And what we can come up with is that Napoli knocked the ball down at first and made it a close play. Although he did get the ball to Ross in time. There's a ground ball to Holt.
We'll take a look at how the last inning ended as Brian McCann imploring Pineda, get this ball up. No, up there. Pineda obliges at 96 miles an hour. His best fastball of the night.
Here's Cole Figueroa and a drag bunt. Ross Fields flips to first, and a nice defensive play on both ends by Ross and by Napoli, switching his feet into foul territory.
Well, nice idea by Figueroa. You would think that with the lefty thrower, Ross falling off to third, he'd have a better chance, but Ross right on top of it. He realizes right here you can't tag, so you got to improvise. And so does Napoli at first, with a little improv and a switching of the feet. Nice play all the way around.
Here's Ellsbury, 0 for 3. He shows bunt and takes a strike. Ross on a relief of Buchholz, who left with a 1-1 count on Drew in the 4th inning. We later found he left with tightness in his right elbow. Strike, 0-2.
Clearly the story of the game is Buchholz's injury. It's Craig Breslow, another lefty, warming up.
Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the 6th. Got the fastball by him and a 1-2-3 inning for Robbie Ross Jr. And we're going to go to the bottom of the 6th inning at Fenway. It's 4-1 Yankees. great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. 4 runs, 7 hits for the Yankees, 1, 6, and 2 for the Red Sox, and the 2 happen to be very big because they accounted for 3 unearned runs in the 4th inning. That's the difference in the game right now. So David Ortiz will start it off. He's 0 for 2 against Pineda. And last time up, he struck out. Strange to see Ortiz hitting 228 because he was one of the rare power hitters that would hit for average as well. But power numbers not bad. 15 homers, 43 ribbies, but he is having an off season. And when you're a player of his age, then they start to think, is he starting to slip? There's a ground ball. It's a short right field. One away. .71 pitches for Michael Pineda. 55 of them strikes, 16 balls.
Yeah, just incredible. Just one mistake to the wrong guy, a hot-hitting Mookie Betts. But other than that, Pineda, dynamite. Some of the best stuff we've seen him have as a Yankee. Top-end velocity, 94 to 96 all night. He's throwing change-ups about 90, 91, and a slider about 87 to 90 miles an hour. So much so, it's hard to call his pitches.
Ramirez swings and misses. Now, this is Pineda's 30th start with the Yankees. Now, he does not have a walk tonight. He throws strikes, and that's what makes him a special pitcher. He throws hard and throws strikes. And in the 30 starts, he's walked 20 batters. Slowed down by Pineda. Drew is there, and it's a 1-4-3. Anyway, unless he ends up walking 7 more batters before he departs this game, he will set the record for the fewest walks by any pitcher in his first 30 starts ever with the Yankees, ever. The mark is currently held by Scott Sanderson, who had 27 walks in his first 30 starts. Now, with Scott Sanderson, not an overpowering pitcher, you can almost understand it. You don't see guys like this, David, with this kind of stuff, throw strikes all the time.
No doubt about it. And the impressive part about tonight is that he's really getting some chases down and out of the zone with his off-speed stuff. Sometimes when you see guys with this good a control, you almost throw too many strikes at times instead of trying to get hitters to chase out of the zone. Right there, down and out of the zone. That would register as Sandoval chasing a ball out of the strike zone. When Pineda lives right there on the edges, well, he is just a dominant pitcher. We've seen him this year. The times he struggled, he's missed wildly in the strike zone. Love to see that right there, too, with 2 strikes, a ball in the dirt. Sandoval almost offered at it. So that's the formula for Pineda. One of the keys to pitching, Michael, is when to throw strikes and when not to throw strikes. When to get the hitters to chase. When to expand the strike zone.
Driven to left field, Gardner on the run, and he makes the play. Taking an extra base hit away from Sandoval. And the Red Sox go down in order, but what a jump by the Yankee All-Star, Brett Gardner, running it down in the gap and doing a little flip to Jacoby Ellsbury. That wasn't handled that well, but what a catch to end the inning. By Nissan, shop choosenissan.com. Brett Gardner 1 for 3. Head first slide single and RBI. A-Rod's 2 for 2. Home run in the first. Picked up 2 ribbies. See the rest of the box scores.
Balanced attack so far tonight.
Brett Gardner makes the great play in the bottom of the 6th and leads off the 7th. And takes a strike. Gardner, A-Rod, and Teixeira against Robbie Ross Jr. One and two. Grounded to Holt. One down.
Ground ball to second base. Brett Gardner running as hard as ever. Still, Holt had to hurry up to get him. Robbie Ross Jr. on the mound, really taking one for the Red Sox team right here. Pitching into the 7th inning in replace of the injured Buchholz. 50+ pitches. Probably knocks him out for the rest of the series.
A-Rod with a home run in the first, single right in the third, and walked with the bases loaded, pick up another ribby in the fourth. One and one. Remember, hit number 660 here. And that was not like the home run in the first. This one was a laser. And that tied him with Willie Mays. One, two. Popped up. Napoli, a long run, slides, and can't make the play. It's that sort of night for the hometown team.
Well, yes, it is, Michael. And you see Napoli kind of gets lost there. He thinks he's closer to the railing than he really is. Kind of breaks down into the slide and takes it off the heel of the glove, and you see the emotion right afterwards.
They have not scored that yet. Might call it a no play or give Napoli an error. Two and two. And the count full. And they scored a no play, so they spare Napoli his second error. Swing and a miss. Got the fastball by Alex. 2 away.
Well, Ross, excellent job. Let her high inside.
Teixeira takes inside, so 59 pitches for Ross. His previous high this year was 49. That was July 1st at Toronto. 1-1. One and two. So 40 strikes, 21 balls.
Robbie Ross does have some experience in the rotation. It's a minor league career, and then also with Texas. Had 12 starts last year for the Rangers. So if you're looking for a replacement, you got this guy stretched out now.
There's a base hit to right field for Teixeira.
Everybody looking for pitching nowadays. The trade deadline coming up. A lot of times the internal options are the first ones looked at. You see now double barrel. Barnes joins Breslow.
Here's Brian McCann. And a strike. Quickly 0-2.
Love Robbie Ross's approach on the mound, working very quickly, very aggressively, pounding the strike zone here.
One and two. If you think about it, you take away the errors. He's pitched very, very well. That one's bounced up there.
The Yankees scored 3 runs in the top of the 4th. A 4-1 game. Excellent job of relief here.
Check the swing. Did he go? Yes, he did. And that will do it here in the 7th. No runs a hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. The end of 6.5. Time for the stretch. Yankees lead 4-1. Nissan, shop choosenissan.com. 6 hits for the Red Sox, but the only run off the bat of Mookie Betts. That came in the bottom of the 5th inning. That home run is the only damage against Michael Pineda, who's been very, very well. Now the Yankees tightening up their defense, have Chris Young take over right for Garrett Jones, and Justin Wilson is warming in the Yankee pen. .77 pitches for Michael Pineda. Napoli takes inside. Napoli struggles, an absolute mystery to the Red Sox. He's been a reliable first baseman. He struggled there this year. You look at his average at 195. They don't quite get it.
He had a really tough offseason, extensive jaw surgery, lost a bunch of weight. Undoubtedly, there has to be something going on there in terms of severe sleep apnea, a radical procedure he had done, including breaking his jaw.
Popped up shallow center. Drew out and makes the play. Kind of in nowhere's land. And Drew goes a long way to put it away for the first time.
Well, he's the only one with a chance to make this play. It's him or nobody. You can see that kind of hit him off the fingers of the glove too, as you see there. A little ricochet into the glove. Lucky to hold on to that one.
Here's Alejandro De Aza. 0-1. Now, we talked about this earlier. When you consider what people thought of Pineda the night he walked off the mound after getting thrown out of the game for having pine tar on his neck. David, his reputation was in tatters. People wondered, does this guy have the mindset to be a good pitcher, to be that blatant about that? Off the mound, bobbles, regains, fires, and he throws it past Teixeira. Backing up is Drew, but Diaz is at second.
Well, nice idea by De Aza. The Yankees are going to check on Pineda, make sure he's okay. But Big Mike's the only one with a chance to make this play. Kind of see a little tweak of his ankle there. Kind of an inverted rollover here. We get a look there. Once he misses it, he's got to go underneath his legs to pick it up. It looked like he slipped, twisted or tweaked his ankle just a bit.
That scored a hit and an E1, allowing him to go to second. And here's Leon. Anyway, David, I think it's really a testament to him. He was so embarrassed. And you wondered, would he be able to collect himself and come back from that? Boy, has he ever.
It's hard to forget the black marks on his neck from the pine tar from that night a little over a year ago.
April 23rd of last year.
You have to understand, though, with Michael Pineda, he's already been through a lot in his young career. Very severe shoulder injury, labrum issues, very difficult shoulder surgery he went through in a long rehab. His velocity was regularly in the upper 90s when he made the All-Star team as a member of the Mariners in his rookie year. I think tonight we've seen the best velocity from Pineda since that point.
Strike. Piazza leads off second. 2-1 count on the number 9 batter in the lineup, Sandy Leon.
Just about every pitch off speed wise at the knees. Changeup. Even though caught a lot of the plate, it was down.
Home plate umpire said it's a foul ball.
Michael Pineda came into this game in terms of pitches that he throws outside of the strike zone that are chased. His chase rate just a little above league average. That's one area that could really improve, as he's got the stuff to miss down and even in the dirt and still get swings and misses.
Grounded to first. Teixeira goes to the bag for the second out. De Aza moves to third. So with Mookie Betts due up, here comes Joe Girardi. 2 outs, runner on third. He takes the ball from Pineda, calls on Justin Wilson. And he makes the call to the bullpen, brought to you by Chase, so you can easily master the way you bank. Coasting, but with a runner on third and 2 men out, and the fact that Mookie Betts had hit a home run against Pineda, he brings in Justin Wilson to try to get the final out of the 7th. Pineda had just 89 pitches, and David, it's very clear that Joe Girardi's saying, if this team's making the playoffs, the best part of the team is the bullpen, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yes, I think all managers are trending that way. You cannot wait to get to the bullpen nowadays, especially third or fourth time through the order. Platoon split be damned here, as obviously Wilson, the lefty, going to face Betts, the righty. Probably the only mistake Pineda made all night was that one slider to Mookie Betts that accounts for the Boston solo run.
Fouled up here, 1-2. And the Yankees have lefties in the bullpen now that you don't have to match them up against lefties. Shreve gets out righties. Wilson gets out righties. (4-1) Yankees lead, bottom of the 7th inning. Tampa Bay leads Houston 3-1 in the 9th inning. That's at the Trop. Nationals lead the Orioles 2-1 in the 7th inning at Camden Yards. It's raining in Kansas City, holding up Toronto and the Royals.
Well, there's no doubt that the Yankee bullpen is much deeper now that Adam Warren is down there. Andrew Miller is back off the DL. Throughout the American League, it has changed dramatically in terms of workload on the starting rotation and the philosophy behind it. American League starters averaging under 6 innings per start. 5.9. So now the Yankees in a position, and really all major league teams, it's not just about your 7th inning guy or your 8th inning guy. Now you're looking for 6th inning guys. The 6th inning guy. Miller's now back in the closer's role, so you have Betances for the 8th inning or multiple innings possibly. Wilson and Shreve, 7th inning guys. Adam Warren can fit in just about anywhere.
1-2. Hammer foul. Betts' home run in the 5th inning, his 10th of the year. He has 5 home runs since June 4th. 10 homers, 42 ribbies, 276 average. De Aza leads off 3rd. 1-2. Swing and a miss. Got him. So Wilson comes on to strike out Betts. No runs, a hit, 1 error, 1 man left. Let's take it to the 8th inning in Boston. 4-1 Yanks. Brought to you by the Ram Summer Clearance Event. New pitcher for the Red Sox, it's Matt Barnes. This will be his 21st game. 34 hits and 7 walks, so 41 base runners in 22 1/3 innings. And opponents hitting .343 off Barnes. Chris Young will lead off. He took over in right field last inning for Garrett Jones. One and 0.
Matt Barnes grew up in Danbury, Connecticut. Probably just north of the border, the Red Sox Yankees border, I think. About halfway up the Connecticut line.
Young could not hold up.
He goes both ways. Danbury, Connecticut. He was a first-round draft choice, number 19 overall in the June 2011 draft. Not too many kids from Danbury, Connecticut drafted number 1.
Three and 1 to Young. Holt shades up the middle. Napoli way off the line at first, almost halfway between first and second for the righty swinging Young. And there's a strike. Fastball on the outside corner. 3 and 2. Young works a walk to start the 8th.
It was Gregorius' double that kind of set up that inning off of Buchholz. Really nice plate coverage from Gregorius. Ball out on the outside corner, drilled it in the left center gap.
Sandoval in on the grass at third.
Earlier in the year, we saw Didi try to pull that pitch a lot and pop it up. A lot of fly balls. Trying to do too much. Not anymore.
Line drive. Foul into the seats. Playing catch with Napoli. Not easy to steal on Leone. He's thrown out 9 of 16 attempted base stealers, and in 6 years between the minors and the majors, he's thrown out 48% of base runners.
Just a little correction on Matt Barnes. He was born in Danbury, but resides in Bethel. So actually grew up in Bethel, Connecticut, which is obviously very close, but
off speed, foul back. 1-2. Dylan Betances is warming for the Yanks. And Craig Breslow's still up. Still 1-2.
One of those Fenway Park games, Michael. I was involved in many here that you just hate the feeling if you're the Yankees of not adding on, just kind of letting the Red Sox hang around here. After scoring 3 in the top of the 4th with some help by defensive miscues on the Red Sox part, really, Robbie Rush shut him down.
Did that get him? Sounded like it did. Yeah, it got him. So Gregorius will take first. Tried to come inside, too far. First and second, nobody out.
Just a little ricochet. You see the change of direction from Didi's elbow into the catcher's mitt.
Well, with Drew due up, the call goes out for Breslow. Yankees have runners on first and second here in the 8th inning. They lead 4-1, and Farrell goes to the pen. That's all the action live from the Bronx. The Yankees battle the Mariners right here on New York's home for baseball. Pix 11. Get a look at Robinson Cano, who's having a very curious year. Just doesn't seem like Robinson Cano to be struggling like that. The whole Mariner team. So the Yankees will start the second half of the season with the Mariners at the stadium. Sunday's game on Pix 11. So Craig Breslow comes on.
Another Connecticut kid born in New Haven. Went to Yale University. Smart kid. One of the things he learned, Michael, was to move to Florida. He now lives in Naples. He understands the tax code.
First and second. And Drew bunts. Leon Fields fires to third. They get the force. And Young might have clipped Sandoval on the way by. Didn't roll far enough away from the catcher, so Leon made the right call.
One of the underrated parts of evaluating when to bunt, when not to bunt. And you see Young does clip him a little bit at the end, but a very clean and fair slide, preventing Sandoval from trying to turn a double play. But the execution of the bunt, Michael, always the underrated part. Should we bunt or not? Let's do the numbers. Is it net plus or not? How successful at actually getting the bunt down, a big part of the equation.
Figueroa pops it up. Breslow makes the call. 2-away. Well, not sending up Headley there would tell you that he's not healthy enough to play. Girardi had said he might be available tonight. Well, that was the time to use him. So obviously not available. Figueroa pops it up for the second out.
Little uneasiness on the Yankee bench. I know I would feel that way. You know, a missed opportunity here. As I mentioned before, just letting the Red Sox hang around here. Yankees in control of the game 4-1. But at Fenway Park, you never quite feel secure. Unless Ellsbury can pick them up with 2 outs here. Another missed opportunity.
Gregorius at second, Drew at first, and Ellsbury lines a single to center field. Here comes Gregorius. Here's the throw, and it hits the mound, bounds up in the air, and Gregorius scores on the RBI single by Ellsbury, and the Yankees have a 5-1 lead.
And this kind of changes the equation right on cue. Ellsbury, very aggressive hitter. First pitch swinging once again, gets a pitch he likes. Lines it into center, and Betts has got a pretty good arm. Problem is, landed on the wrong side of the mound. A big RBI there from Ellsbury with 2 outs.
And here comes Willis. Carl Willis, the pitching coach. We'll have a talk with Breslow, with Gardner due up. We would like to apologize moments ago. Moments ago, we had some technical difficulties with the audio. Luckily for some fans, they heard the Spanish language broadcast rather than us, so a little bit of a respite from the 2 of us, David, but we do apologize for those that wanted to hear us. But it's all fixed.
You must have leaned on the SAP button, huh?
So Willis has his say with Breslow. And now here's Gardner. Gardner's 1 for 4. An infield single and an RBI. That was in the 3-run 4th inning for the Yankees. Gardner popped to short in the first, struck out looking in the third. The infield single in the ribby in the fourth, grounded to second in the seventh.
Gardner just faced Breslow 11 times in his career. As you see the Yankee bullpen. Betances now a little bit on hold, depending on what happens here. But Gardner does have 2 home runs in 11 at-bats against Breslow. It's one of the worst feelings in the world, Michael, when you're a reliever down there in these types of games where if you're telling Betances you're hot, you're warmed up, and now all of a sudden you get the call and say, hey, hold, you're on hold a little bit. Capuano, you get hot in case we score a couple more runs.
One of the funny sights, David, and you saw it a couple of times, if Mariano was pitching in a safe or warming up for a safe situation and a guy hit a ball that was going to fall in for a base hit that was going to score, he was sitting down before the run was plated. He just was not coming in. if it wasn't a safe situation, so he heated up for nothing. 1-2. Grounded softly to second. Hustling is Gardner, and he makes it close, but he's thrown out. Yankees do get a big run on the big hit by Ellsbury. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Tri-State BMW Centers. Yankees lead 5-1 on 9 hits, 1 error. The Red Sox won 7-2. 3 of the Yankee runs unearned because of those 2 errors. A-Rod's had a good night, 2 for 3. Solo home run in the first inning. 2 ribbies, walk with the bases loaded. Another good outing for Michael Pineda. Mookie Betts, that's the Red Sox offense. Solo home run off Pineda in the 5th, and Clay Buchholz left the game in the top of the 4th inning with a right elbow tightness. So they will use Dellin Betances since they heated him up, and he will pitch here in the bottom of the 8th. And Brock Holt swings and fouls it off. So Pineda goes 6 2/3. Justin Wilson comes on to strike out Betts for the final out of the 7th. Now it's Betances' turn. Foul again.
Dellin Betances has actually showed that he's human lately. Giving up a couple of home runs.
Powered it right by Brock Holt. 1 away.
Actually noticed him throwing more fastballs since his last outing. It's a hanging slider that he gave up the home run on, and this is just right on by. 4-seam grip.
Here's Bogarts. And Easy. Yankee All-Star representative, as is Teixeira and Gardner. Second straight year for Dellin. Last year, he did not get in the game. And John Farrell was the American League manager, and he said it was a disappointment. He said, but then I realized it was Derek's last All-Star game, so it was just special to be part of that team and be in that room. He's hoping he gets in there this year. And Ned Yost, who will manage the American League team, said that he'll be the 7th inning guy. Wade Davis, the 8th inning guy. And Glenn Perkins of the Twins will be the closer. Did he go? Yes, he did. Bogart's down on strikes.
Two in a row. This time on the slider, down and away. Bogarts just cannot hold up. When Betances throws as hard as he does, you see that. You got to start the bat soon. Starts lunging, thinking maybe fastball, and by the time he realizes, it's too late. The bat's gone too far.
Here's David Ortiz. He is 0 for 3 tonight. Shift on for him. 3 infielders on the right side. Oh and 1.
When you think about Betances in his minor league career, trouble throwing strikes. Just shows you how important confidence is. Throwing the ball with conviction, trusting your stuff. A lot of different cliches, but it really is true. It does become emotional. Betances could never find the strike zone his whole minor league career as a starter. Now all of a sudden, he has excellent control with 2 pitches.
Now the Yankee dream was that he was going to be this type of pitcher as a starter. Now that he's found the zone, you think he could have this kind of effectiveness as a starter?
Confidence level wise, yes, he probably could make a good go of it.
Even with just the 2 pitches.
They're so dominant.
Right.
I mean, Dwight Gooden made a living with just 2 pitches for a while until it caught up with him when he lost velocity. Problem with starters is you, with that heavy workload, you do tend to lose velocity, and the need for that 3rd pitch becomes much greater.
He's so valuable in this role for them right now. The 2-2. High fly ball, left center. Ellsbury is there to make the play, and Betances works a 1-2-3 8th inning. We're going to the 9th at Fenway. It's 5-1 Yankees. pitcher. Now we get a look at Justin Masterson working out of the bullpen. 9 starts this year, 3-2. Red Sox threw a lot of number 3 and 4 type starters at the rotation wall, and they hoped that somebody would step up, a couple people would step up and pitch higher than that. It really hasn't happened.
No, it hasn't. As Masterson really suffered from some knee problems last year. It really cut his season short, and the Red Sox took a chance that he could rehab and be healthy again. And as of yet, it has not worked out. Certainly not in the rotation as he finds himself in mop-up duty here.
Pitch to A-Rod is outside, 1-0.
Masterson was in his prime. He was one of the most prolific ground ball guys like that.
A-Rod is out on the 6th. How about this stat? We just saw Dellin Betances work a 1-2-3 inning. And Katie Sharp has come up with this. Red Sox hitters are 1 for 15 with 10 strikeouts against Betances this year. One and one. Teixeira's 1 for 4 tonight. He singled his last time. Single to right. Andrew Miller up in the pen. It's kind of odd, David. I want to throw this your way. They're up by 4, and you're using Betances and Miller. And if they have to be pitching again tomorrow, then you can't use them on Sunday. Wouldn't this be a day where you could avoid using them?
Yeah, I think you would probably try to, except for the fact that it is Fenway Park. Girardi feels like winning this first game so important. Got to have it to avoid a potential sweep here before the break.
That one's popped up. Shallow center. And Bogarts makes the play for the second out.
I will say this, there has been a distinct change in Girardi. Earlier this year, maybe a month ago, I'll have to do some research, but the Yankees almost blew a 9-run lead.
Yep.
I think they ended up giving up 7 or 8 runs, barely hanging on. And since that game, Girardi has been impacted by his decision-making late in the games. The Yankees did hold on in that particular game. I'll go back and research and give you the date.
Grounded up the middle. Oh, nice play. And they take a base hit away from McCann as Bogarts makes the play up the middle. The Yankees go down in order 1-2-3 against Masterson. Andrew Miller will come on to face his former teammates. The bottom of the 9th, Yankees lead 5-1. They bring on the closer, Andrew Miller, his second appearance since coming off the DL. His numbers speak for themselves, 18 for 18 in save situations. Now, I brought up the question to David, and now I'd like to partially defend Girardi. He's not being guided by a false line in the sand, oh, this is a save and this isn't. Maybe at Fenway Park, he thinks a 4-run lead is close enough to bring in the big two, Betances and Miller. It's like a 3-run lead in a bigger ballpark. And there's such a seduction, David, to use these guys because it's the best part of the team. You just have to keep them fresh for the whole year.
Yeah, in the middle of the Boston order as well. Well, Ramirez certainly capable hitting a homer.
Now, Miller did not look great in his first outing off the DL. Threw a lot of pitches, ended up nailing it down, the save against the A's. But let's see if he's sharper now. There's a strike. He pitched Monday in Scranton, the only rehab assignment he had. Then he pitched Wednesday at the stadium against Oakland. Made a little bit of a nail biter, but got by. And now here on Friday. Andrew Miller was a Red Sox player last year, then traded to the Orioles. Then became a free agent, signed with the Yankees.
Just one actual rehab appearance, and then right back into the closer's role.
Two.
See a sweeping slider at 82 miles an hour. Almost started on the outside corner. Ended up way inside off the plate.
Grounded to third. Figueroa charges under his glove. And Ramirez will reach.
Plenty of time with Ramirez running. The right choice to go with the glove, just doesn't get it down.
And it's an E5.
It's an error all the way.
Yankees will not hold Ramirez on. Here's Sandoval. And a strike. Sellout crowd, 37,984. Oh, and 2.
Nothing near the strike zone against Sandoval.
Swing and a miss. That didn't seem like a competitive at bat.
All sliders for Miller, and this one's probably the best one to hit. Sandoval clearly reads fastball. Way out in front of this one that gets a lot of the plate for an 0-2 pitch. That's when you know you have a good slider, is when you can throw it right down the middle and still get a swing and a miss and fool a hitter.
Now you might wonder, Sandoval's been a switch hitter. Why is he batting lefty against Miller? He was 2 for 42 right-handed, and he just stopped switch hitting. way he looked against those lefty sliders, I might want to reconsider.
Picked the wrong guy to do it against, but yeah, that is unusual.
Shane Victorino is on deck. The pinch hit for Diaza. Figueroa fields, fires to second, on to first. Not in time. Sox down to their final out.
Nice big hop, chest high. Make sure you get one. Good job by Drew. Don't get too quick and set up a big inning here. Make sure you get the second out. Both Figueroa and Drew, good job right there.
So here is Victorino for Diaza. Runner goes, takes second on defensive indifference. And now McCann will go out and talk about the secondary signs.
As you said, Michael, Joe Girardi clearly not messing around here. Wants to win this first game.
One and one. Red Sox have won 4 straight, 9 of 12, had pulled to win 5.5 games of first place, but they're trailing 5-1 bottom of the 9th inning with 2 outs. Popped up right side. Teixeira gives it a look but runs out of room.
Red Sox should feel pretty good about Andrew Miller. It was his trade to the Red Sox that netted them a nice looking young left-handed starter that the Yankees will see tomorrow, Rodriguez.
Swing and a miss, and that'll do it as the Yankees win 5-1. So the Yankees come into Fenway and cool down the Red Sox. Red Sox have been streaking, playing their way back into relevancy, but Michael Pineda was outstanding. First inning home run by Alex Rodriguez, and the Yankees never look back. And Andrew Miller gets the final 3 outs, and here's the last pitch of the game.
Another sweeping slider for Miller. As you see, it looks like it's down the middle and ends up 6 inches off the plate.